Hello Sunday people, thanks again for joining me in the kitchen. And have I got a treat for you? This week we are making this incredible, soft, crunchy topped coffee cake. The smell of it, sensational. It's soft and bouncy. The texture of the cake's insane. It's got a gorgeous little ripple through the middle and it's got a crunchy, crumbly top. This cake will blow anybody's socks off because not only is it delicious, but it's packed full of coffee. This week we're making this incredible coffee crumb cake. So if you like a slice of cake or a little afternoon pick-me-up, this is the one for you. All right, so let's get into this and get this cake in the oven. As we know, I always like to get all of my prep done before we make stuff. It just makes it easier. So here is everything weighed out. In the description box down below is the full recipe. This recipe, I'm going to be using this cake tin, which is 21 centimeters across. You can also double this recipe and make it in a large sheet pan. It would also be fantastic. So, I've done all my prep. You now do yours. Pause the video and then come back. Everything weighed? I hope so. So let's get going. I've turned the oven on to 170 degrees. That's like 350 Fahrenheit, I think. I will double check and maybe I'll write it on the screen somewhere around here. Let's quickly go through all of these ingredients we've got. Each set of ingredients that we've got for each part of the cake. I know it looks like there's a lot weighed out here, but essentially it's all the same thing, just in slightly different formats. So, first off, in here we have got cardamom, salt, instant coffee granules, nice soft butter, flour, brown sugar. Then for the middle section, for that little fleck that runs through the middle of the cake, we've got cinnamon and brown sugar and some more instant coffee granules. Then we've got 2 eggs, we've got butter and veg oil. We've got the flour weighed out with the granules. Again, this is like coffee friggin' overload. We've got white and brown sugar, sour cream, baking powder, baking soda, salt, and our cooled coffee. This cake really is coffee overload. So if you don't like coffee, maybe this isn't the cake for you. But if you do like coffee, well, you've made it to the right place. So the first things that we just need to get done before we start making this is mix the crumble, mix this together, mix the batter, and line our cake tin. As always, you can skip forward the timestamps, they're in the description box, and that will take you to the bit that you need to see so that you can make this amazing coffee cake. But if you're only just starting out and learning something new, well then we'll start with the cake tin and move on to the rest. Take your rectangular piece of greaseproof. We're then gonna fold it in half, crease down the line, and then fold it in half again. Crease that top line, then you want to make it into a triangle, crease that line, and into a triangle again. Crease that last line, and then you measure to the middle of the cake tin, which is here, plus a little extra to line the sides. Tear off the top. Give it a quick scrunch. And there, your cake tin is lined. So the first 2 jobs that we're going to do is make a little layer that's going to go in the middle of the cake, which just gives it that extra coffee punch. So this is our coffee granules, sugar and cinnamon. And all we need to do is rub them all together so they're fully combined, and that's it, to one side. If you've got any large lumps of brown sugar, just push them out. Just make sure it's nice and even. Then here, we're going to make the crumble. So I've got the cardamom, salt, granules, again, brown sugar, flour, and softened butter, which does need to be soft like this because we need to mix it all together to make a really great crumb. So that's the next job. Really make sure that you massage it together so you get a slightly varying texture. You want some kind of lumps, you want some a bit smaller, so that you get this lovely crumb on top. If any of you have ever been to Germany, this is like the topping to a streusel cake, which is just absolutely delicious because it adds this kind of extra bit of crunch to the top of the cake, and it's just downright fantastic. So that is done also. And what is a really great idea now is to sit that in the fridge while you do the other stuff, because then it's slightly it becomes slightly colder again, and what happens then is it really keeps its shape when you then bake it in the oven, so it doesn't just turn into this blob on top, but you do still get these little chunks which make for that crunchy texture on top. So I'm going to put this in the fridge. That's if I can find any room in here. It's a constant struggle as to rearranging the fridge. And now we're just going to move on to the cake. I'd also like to let you know that I currently have my slippers on because it's cold here in New Zealand, hence why I thought I'd make another cake this week, because it's chilly and gross and grey and we've really entered autumn. So this lovely cake, you know, you can have with your afternoon cup of tea, or maybe if you feel like you want a bit of cheering up, have it with your breakfast. I didn't say it, I'm just putting it out there, okay? I may well do it because I love cake and I do love sweet things, and you know, it's always nice when you've got some hanging around. Okay, let's move on to the last bit. All right, the batter. So I'm going to use a stand mixer. What's really good about this is the speed at which it can beat the butter, the sugar and the oil. The reason why that's great is because it's incorporating air. So you will see as this goes in, it's a completely different color before I add any of the other stuff into it. So you can do this by hand or with a, you know, with the beaters, oh my God, what are they called? You know, the hand beaters, but you will need to work it for probably double the amount of time that I would in here, purely because this goes at a much faster speed. So first off, we're going to add in the butter and the oil with my trusty Maurice, as I've only ever called them, but you may call it a spatula. I'll keep this bowl here so we can sit the spatula in it and not get dirt and not get mess everywhere. But we're again going to use the paddle, not the whisk, not the dough hook, but the paddle, so that we can beat this really well. And then we're going to add in our sugar. Once this is all beaten together and that butter has broken up a little bit, and then we've just got the other bits to add in, and we'll go through that when it's ready. So as you can see there, all I've done is just broken up that butter a little bit because it was a little bit cooler than room temperature, as I said, because it's chilly here, but that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't in really big lumps. So now I'm going to add in the sugar, and we're going to beat this for about 2 or 3 minutes at least, until it's completely changed colour and is nice and pale. So that's the 2 sugars there. In they go, and we're just going to mix it up. I nearly just turned it on. Classic. What is it with this? I don't know. It's about halfway through, so I'm just going to give it a little scrape down with the spatula. You can see it's already slightly becoming lighter, but we're not quite at the point we need it to yet. And the reason why we need to get it beaten and aerated is so that the cake can be nice and fluffy, because what happens is the sugar crystals create air pockets within the butter structure, and so that gives it even more airiness and lightness. So now you can really see that this has changed colour quite a lot from the original mixture that went in there that was quite dark, because obviously we've got that brown sugar in there. But it's become aerated, so now we can add in the other bits. First, we're going to crack the 2 eggs into a bowl or whatever you've got handy, so that we can add them in one by one. It just makes it a little bit easier this way to pour it in. And also then we've got our cold brewed coffee, and I've got the sour cream, and I'm going to add that together and mix that all together so that's all incorporated so we can pour it in. And I'm finally going to add all of these, the baking powder, the baking soda and the salt, to the coffee and flour mix, and we're going to mix that all together so everything is evenly incorporated so that we can add it in when we need to. So this I'm just going to mix with a fork and make sure it's all even. I'm going to add the sour cream to the coffee, mix that together too. Probably should do it with a fork, you might get a better, there we go. So it turns into this kind of dark, thick, creamy mix. So they're ready, and now we can continue with the batter. So pop it down, turn it onto a medium speed, and we're gonna add in the eggs and let them fully work in, and then we're gonna add half the flour, incorporate it, half the liquid, incorporate it, half the flour, incorporate it, half the liquid, incorporate it, in 2 batches, so that all the flour is evenly distributed, all the coffee mix is evenly distributed, and that's it. Into the tin it will go. So the eggs are in, but already this mix is looking light and fluffy. So now in goes half of the wet and half of the dry. It smells incredible. And that is it, finished. So now what you want to do there is when you add in that last bit, you don't want to turn it too hard or too fast for too long, because that will make your batter tough. So all I do with that last little bit is just incorporate it by hand to make sure there's no floury lumps, that the bottom's all mixed in. That's it, batter done. Now we've just got to layer it up and bake it. I also don't know if it was just caught on film, but I just smacked my head on the side of the table. And now it kind of hurts a bit, but what a numpty. Oh, you fuck. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's layer it up. We've got our batter here. So we're going to take half of the amount of batter and we're going to put it in the bottom of the tin. What you want to do here now is spread it out all around to the edges of the tin. Make sure it's good and flat. And then we're going to add in this little layer of coffee and cinnamon that goes through. So it looks something like that. And now this is where we want to be careful. We're going to dollop the bits on top and we're going to slightly spread it, because we want to make sure we keep that layer in the middle and that it doesn't end up coming through the top. I mean, it can, it doesn't matter, it's not the end of the world, but it's nice to have this like fresh line through the middle. Gently push it out. And then finally, the crumb all over the top. Large lumps like that, you can maybe break it in half. But like I said before, quite nice to have the texture. Spread it all out. And that is the coffee cake done. It's going in the oven for about 40 minutes. I'm going to turn mine around halfway because we all know Dell's oven cooks hot at the back. But that's it. Easy, simple. So let's get this cake in so that we can eat it. It's nearly time. It smells incredible in here. The smell of the coffee and the cinnamon and the cardamom, oh, it is just wafting everywhere, and I cannot wait to get this thing out. What's great about this cake is you only need to give it 15 minutes cooling. So that works well for Dell because she's a piggy. So let's get this cake out the oven, get it onto the wire rack for 15, and then we can tuck on into it and get a bite of this lovely warming coffee cake. 45 minutes, let's go check it. I hope it is ready. The skewer is clean, we're done. And just look at that crumb on top. Oh my God, it just looks sensational. So all we need to do is pop it out. Whee! Classic, nearly dropped it. Just gonna leave that for 15, 20 minutes max, and then it's time to cut in. Here's a little crumb, let's give it a taste. I can't wait. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. I'm gonna slice into it. So I'm gonna get it on here. This is why you do need to let it rest a little bit though, because obviously it is a tender cake and we don't want to split it. So let's cut into it. Oh my God, that gorgeous crumb on top. Let's see what the middle looks like. Oh, just look at that. It's steaming hot still. Maybe I should have waited a minute or two, but oh my God. The crumb of that cake is so soft and delicate. Let's get this on the plate and give it a taste, shall we? Oh my God, just look at it. That crumble on top and just this insane soft texture in the middle. I cannot wait to take a bite of this. Oh, it just, honestly, the smell of it is insane. Oh. That is amazing. The crumb with the salt means that it's not too sweet on top. The texture of the inside of this cake is soft and moist, and that little layer in the middle with them extra spices. Oh my God, this cake is amazing. Oh, that crumb top, that is the one. You got it, I tell you now, you got to make this. Oh my God. And the cardamom in the top, really delicious, and definitely still a little bit warm. Is insane. But that's all we've got time for this week. I'm going to stop eating this, I'm going to put the kettle on, and I'm going to finish eating it, and maybe have even another little slice. If you've enjoyed learning how to make this coffee cake, I always love to see your creations, so you can tag me on my Instagram. If you ever make anything, just hashtag Dishes with Del, so that we can share all the wonderful things that you're achieving in the kitchen. But otherwise, that's it for this week, and I'm just going to have another little bite of this. Oh my God. I also just want to say a massive thank you for all of you who tune in, who like, who have subscribed to this channel. It really means the world to me when I hear from you guys. It really is fantastic. So thank you so much for all your support, and I'll see you guys next week for another recipe from me, Del. I love you lots, and I'll see you soon.